Maya Rodriguez had always believed that Tuesdays were the universe's way of apologizing for Mondays. Not aggressively terrible like their predecessor, just quietly disappointing, like finding out your favorite coffee shop switched to decaf without telling anyone. She was contemplating this philosophical truth while standing in line at Cosmic Grounds, watching the barista move with the enthusiasm of a sedated sloth. "Double shot espresso, extra bitter," she ordered, "because if you're going to hate your morning, you might as well commit to it fully." The barista, whose name tag read Brad in letters that seemed personally offended by their existence, handed her the cup with all the ceremony of passing a parking ticket. Maya took a sip and grimaced. Even the coffee was having a Tuesday. She stepped outside, juggling her purse, laptop bag, and the questionable life choices that had led her to a career designing spacecraft for a government that couldn't agree on pizza toppings, let alone space exploration funding. The morning sun felt particularly judgmental today, like it was disappointed in her too. That's when the sky caught fire. Not metaphorically, like when people say the sunset was fire on social media. Literally on fire, with actual flames and screaming, lots of screaming. Maya looked up to see something that definitely wasn't in her engineering textbooks hovering above downtown. It looked like someone had taken a cathedral, painted it aggressive purple, and taught it to fly while having anger management issues. The ship, because that's clearly what this Tuesday had escalated to, was shooting beams of energy that turned everything they touched into very expensive confetti. "Oh, come on," Maya muttered, watching as one of those beams carved through the apartment building she'd called home for 3 years. Her building. Her apartment. Her meticulously organized collection of vintage science fiction novels that she'd spent a decade collecting. The building folded in on itself with the architectural grace of a house of cards in a hurricane. Maya watched her security deposit literally go up in smoke, along with her first edition copy of Foundation and her grandmother's recipe for tres leches cake that she'd never actually tried to make but had promised herself she would someday. "This is just perfect," she said to no one in particular, because everyone else was too busy running and screaming to appreciate her commentary. "I finally organize my sock drawer, and aliens decide to redecorate the neighborhood." The purple ship moved on to terrorize other parts of the city with the methodical efficiency of a cosmic pest control service. Maya stood there, holding her rapidly cooling coffee, but watching her life become a statistical casualty in what would probably be filed under acts of extraterrestrial hostility by her insurance company. A news drone buzzed overhead, its cheerful voice announcing, "This is Channel 7 News, bringing you live coverage of what officials are calling an unscheduled alien visitation. The attackers have been identified as the Vex Collective, known throughout the galaxy for their charming habit of burning things that don't belong to them." Maya snorted. Unscheduled alien visitation. That's like calling a root canal an unscheduled dental surprise. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mother, Mija. "Did you see the news? Are you safe? Also, your cousin Maria is engaged. When are you getting married?" Maya typed back, "Aliens burned down my apartment. Still single. Priorities, Mom." The response was immediate. "At least you're consistent." She looked around at the chaos surrounding her. Emergency vehicles were arriving with sirens that sounded like they were arguing with each other. People were crying, shouting, and taking selfies with the destruction in the background because apparently the apocalypse wasn't complete without social media documentation. Maya finished her coffee, tossed the cup in a nearby trash can that had somehow survived the cosmic tantrum, and made a mental note. The Vex Collective had just made her Tuesday significantly worse than usual. And Maya Rodriguez had very strong feelings about things that made her Tuesdays worse. She pulled out her phone and opened her job search app. If aliens were going to make personal attacks on her lifestyle choices, she was going to need a new career. Preferably one that came with hazard pay and the opportunity to make some very pointed remarks about proper interstellar etiquette. The universe had just escalated their relationship status from "it's complicated" to "it's personal." Maya was 3 days into living in a hotel that charged her $40 for a Wi-Fi connection slower than her grandmother's dial-up when Captain Rex Sterling found her. She was in the lobby, arguing with the insurance company on her phone and wondering if alien invasion was covered under her renter's policy, when a man in a uniform that looked like it had been designed by someone who thought subtlety was a form of weakness approached her table. "Excuse me, miss," he said, flashing a smile that belonged in a toothpaste commercial. "Are you Maya Rodriguez, aerospace engineer?" Maya looked up from her laptop, where she'd been scrolling through apartment listings that all seemed to cost more than her monthly salary. "Depends who's asking, and whether you're here to tell me my student loans are now somehow worse." "Captain Rex Sterling, Galactic Defense Corps," he said, extending a hand. "I'm here to offer you the opportunity of a lifetime." Maya stared at him. Rex looked like he'd been assembled from a military recruiting poster, complete with a jaw that could cut glass and eyes that sparkled with the kind of optimism usually reserved for people selling timeshares. His uniform was so crisp it probably needed a permit to be that sharp. "Let me guess," Maya said. "You want me to join the Space Marines and fight the good fight against the alien menace?" "Actually, it's the Galactic Defense Corps, and we prefer the term interstellar peacekeeping specialists," Rex said, sitting down uninvited. "But yes, essentially." Maya closed her laptop. "Captain Sterling, I appreciate the recruitment pitch, but I design spacecraft. I don't fly them into battle while screaming about freedom and democracy." "That's exactly why we need you," Rex said, leaning forward with the intensity of a golden retriever who'd just spotted a tennis ball. "The Vex Collective has been systematically attacking human colonies across the galaxy. They've got technology we barely understand, and they're using it to turn our settlements into abstract art projects." "By abstract art projects, you mean burned-out ruins," Maya said. "Exactly. Very depressing abstract art projects." Rex pulled out a tablet and showed her images that made her morning coffee taste even more bitter. Destroyed buildings, smoking craters, and the kind of devastation that made her apartment situation look like a minor inconvenience. Maya studied the images. The destruction was methodical, efficient, and thoroughly infuriating. "How many colonies have they hit?" 17 in the past 6 months, Rex said. "We've managed to evacuate most of the populations, but barely. The Vex hit fast and hard, then disappear before we can respond effectively." "And you think a bunch of humans with space guns are going to solve this problem?" Rex's smile became slightly desperate around the edges. "We think humans with engineering degrees and a personal grudge might be exactly what we need." Maya raised an eyebrow. "A personal grudge?" "Your apartment building," Rex said, "along with your vintage book collection and your grandmother's tres leches cake recipe." Maya stared at him. "How do you know about the cake recipe?" "We do our research," Rex said. "Also, your mom mentioned it when we contacted her for your emergency information." "You called my mother?" "She seems lovely. She also wanted me to ask if you're dating anyone?" Maya put her head in her hands. "This day just keeps getting better." Rex cleared his throat. "Look, Maya, I know this sounds crazy, but we need engineers who understand how things work, how they break, and how to fix them when they're broken by aliens with anger management issues. The Vex technology is advanced, but it's not magic. It's just really, really good engineering." "And you think I can reverse engineer their weapons?" "I think you can do better than that," Rex said. "I think you can figure out how to beat them at their own game." Maya looked around the hotel lobby, with its suspicious stains on the carpet and the Wi-Fi that moved slower than continental drift. She thought about her destroyed apartment, her lost books, and the fact that her insurance company had just informed her that alien attacks were specifically excluded from her coverage policy. "What exactly are you offering?" she asked. Rex brightened like someone had just plugged him into a power outlet. Full military benefits, housing, 3 meals a day, and the chance to make the aliens who burned down your home really, really sorry they messed with humanity. "Housing? On a state-of-the-art space station with artificial gravity and everything." Maya considered this. Her current housing situation involved a bed that felt like it had been stuffed with regret, and a shower that dispensed water with the enthusiasm of a disappointed garden sprinkler. "What about the food?" "Military rations have come a long way. Some of them are almost edible." That's not exactly a ringing endorsement. Maya, Rex said, and for the first time his cheerful facade cracked slightly. These aliens burned down your home. They're burning down everyone's homes, and we're running out of time to stop them. Maya looked at him, then at her laptop displaying apartment listings she couldn't afford, then at the hotel lobby that smelled faintly of broken dreams and industrial disinfectant. Fine, she said, but I want hazard pay, and if this goes badly, I'm blaming you personally. Rex's smile returned to full wattage. Welcome to the Galactic Defense Corps, Engineer Rodriguez. I haven't signed anything yet. Details, Rex said, standing up and extending his hand again. We leave for the training facility in 2 hours. Maya shook his hand and immediately wondered what she'd just gotten herself into. The training facility looked like someone had taken a military base and launched it into space, then decided it needed more gray walls and fluorescent lighting that hummed with the persistence of an annoying song stuck in your head. Maya stood in a line with 12 other people who looked like they'd also made questionable life choices recently. Welcome to Hell Station, announced Commander Elena Vasquez, a woman who looked like she could arm wrestle a black hole and win. You are here because your planet is under attack, your species is in danger, and apparently you were all too stubborn to find better ways to spend your time. Maya glanced at the person next to her, a nervous-looking guy who was clutching a tablet like it was a security blanket. He caught her looking and whispered, I'm Finn Cooper. I used to debug software for a living. This seemed like a logical career progression. Maya Rodriguez, she whispered back. I used to design spacecraft. Now I'm apparently going to fly them into combat situations while questioning my life choices. Rodriguez, Commander Vasquez's voice cut through the air like a laser through butter. Cooper, since you're so eager to chat, you can be partners for today's exercise. Maya and Finn exchanged looks that clearly communicated their mutual certainty that they were about to die in spectacular ways. The first exercise involved something called alien technology familiarization, which translated to here's a bunch of equipment that looks like it was designed by creatures who hate the concept of user-friendly interfaces. Maya found herself staring at a Vex weapon that resembled a cross between a plasma rifle and a particularly aggressive piece of modern art. The Vex weapons operate on quantum energy manipulation principles, explained Lieutenant Torres, who had the kind of technical knowledge that made Maya's engineering degree feel like a participation trophy. The trigger mechanism responds to bioelectric impulses, and the power core uses crystalline matrices to focus energy beams. Maya picked up the weapon, turned it over in her hands, and immediately understood why the Vex were so successful. This is beautiful, she said. Beautiful? Finn squeaked from beside her, where he was holding an identical weapon like it might explode if he breathed on it wrong. The engineering is incredible, Maya continued. Look at this power distribution system. They've solved the heat dissipation problem that's been plaguing energy weapons for decades. And the targeting system, it's integrated directly into the weapon's neural interface. Commander Vasquez appeared behind them with the stealth of a very large, very dangerous ninja. Rodriguez, explain. The weapon learns from the user, Maya said. It adapts to their shooting patterns, compensates for their natural tremors, and adjusts the energy output based on the target's distance and composition. It's not just a gun. It's a partner. And that's beautiful to you? It's elegant engineering, Maya said. I mean, it's being used to burn down our cities, which is definitely not beautiful, but the technology itself is remarkable. Commander Vasquez studied her with the intensity of someone evaluating a particularly complex mathematical equation. Cooper, what's your analysis? Finn looked like he'd rather be debugging code while sitting in a bathtub full of electric eels. It's got really nice user interface design. The quantum matrix thingy probably runs on something like a distributed processing algorithm, which would explain why it's so adaptable. Cooper, you're thinking like a programmer, Vasquez said. Rodriguez, you're thinking like an engineer. Both of you are thinking like humans who might actually survive this war. The next exercise involved combat simulations that made Maya wonder if the Vex had designed them as psychological warfare. They were dropped into a virtual environment that looked like downtown Seattle. If downtown Seattle had been redesigned by aliens with a flair for dramatic lighting and an unhealthy obsession with purple architecture. The scenario is simple, Vasquez announced over the intercom. Vex raiders have occupied the city. Your mission is to infiltrate their command post and disable their communications array. Maya and Finn found themselves crouched behind an overturned car that had been rendered in disturbingly realistic detail. "This is insane," Finn whispered. "I fix bugs in spreadsheet software. I don't infiltrate alien command posts." "Think of it as debugging reality," Maya said, checking her weapon's charge level. "The Vex are the bugs, and we're the patch. That's either very inspiring or completely terrifying. Why not both?" "Nah." They made it approximately 30 seconds before the first Vex patrol spotted them. The aliens moved with the fluid precision of creatures who had evolved specifically to be better at warfare than anyone else. They were tall, angular, and covered in armor that shifted colors like oil on water. Maya and Finn spent the next 10 minutes running, hiding, and occasionally shooting at things while screaming. It was not their most dignified moment. "This is hopeless," Finn gasped as they cowered behind another conveniently placed piece of cover. "We're never going to make it to the command post." Maya watched the Vex patrol patterns, noting their coordination and timing. "Actually," she said, "I think we're approaching this wrong." "What do you mean?" "We're trying to fight them like humans fight humans," Maya said. "But these aren't humans. They're engineers, like us. They've built this entire operation like a system, and every system has weaknesses." She pointed to the communications towers scattered throughout the simulation. "Look at their network topology. They've created redundant communication paths, but they're all routing through centralized hubs. If we can't reach the main command post, we can disrupt their entire network by taking out the hub coordinators." Finn stared at her. "You want to hack their communications network?" "I want to exploit their over-engineering," Maya said. "They've made their system so sophisticated that it's become fragile." 20 minutes later, they'd successfully completed the mission using a strategy that involved Maya's understanding of network architecture and Finn's ability to interface with alien computer systems. They hadn't fired a shot in the final 10 minutes. Commander Vasquez's voice crackled over the intercom. "Congratulations, Rodriguez and Cooper. You've just demonstrated why humans might actually win this war." Maya and Finn looked at each other, both covered in virtual dust and running on pure adrenaline. "Did we just accidentally become competent?" Finn asked. "I think we might have," Maya said. "This is either really good news or really bad news." "Definitely both," Finn agreed. 3 weeks into training, Maya had learned several important things. Military coffee was somehow worse than hotel coffee. Finn talked to computers with more affection than most people reserved for their pets. And Commander Vasquez could make grown adults question their life choices with a single raised eyebrow. She was contemplating these truths in the briefing room when Captain Sterling burst in with the enthusiasm of someone who'd just discovered caffeine. "Good news, everyone," Rex announced to the assembled group of trainees, who had learned to be suspicious of any sentence that started with good news. "Intelligence has located the Vex homeworld." Maya looked up from the technical specifications she'd been studying. "And the bad news?" "Who said there was bad news?" Rex replied with the kind of forced optimism that suggested there was definitely bad news. Commander Vasquez stepped forward, carrying a data tablet like it contained the secrets of the universe, and also several varieties of doom. "The bad news is that their homeworld is protected by the most sophisticated defense grid in known space. Planetary shields, automated weapon platforms, and a sensor network that can detect a fruit fly from 3-star systems away." "So we're not exactly mounting a surprise attack," Finn said, his fingers already dancing across his tablet as he pulled up the intelligence data. "It gets worse," Vasquez continued. "The defense grid is managed by a single, integrated network. One system controlling everything from atmospheric processors to waste management. Maya blinked. Wait, they put their planetary defenses and their sewage treatment on the same network? According to our intelligence, the Vex believe in total system integration, Rex said. Everything connected, everything optimized, everything running through central command protocols. Maya stared at the data, her engineer's brain immediately spotting the problem. That's the most beautiful disaster I've ever seen. Explain, Vasquez said. They've created a single point of failure for their entire civilization, Maya said, standing up and moving to the display screen. Look at this architecture. Their defense grid, their infrastructure, their life support systems, they're all running on the same network backbone. Finn looked up from his tablet, his eyes lighting up with the kind of excitement usually reserved for finding a particularly elegant piece of code. If someone could gain access to that network, they could control everything, Maya finished. Not just disable their defenses, but take over their entire planet. The room went quiet except for the humming of the fluorescent lights, which seemed to be providing commentary on the absurdity of the situation. Captain Sterling cleared his throat. Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting? Maya turned to face the group. I'm suggesting we steal a Vex ship, fly it to their homeworld, infiltrate their network, and turn their own technology against them. That's the most insane plan I've ever heard, said Rodriguez, one of the other trainees. Thank you, Maya said. I've been working on it. Commander Vasquez studied the display data with the intensity of someone trying to find flaws in a mathematical proof. Rodriguez, even if we could steal a Vex ship, even if we could somehow reach their homeworld undetected, what makes you think we could hack into their network? Maya glanced at Finn, who was now looking at the data with the focused concentration of someone solving a particularly challenging puzzle. Finn, what do you think? Finn was quiet for a moment, his fingers tracing patterns in the air as he worked through the problem. Their system architecture is actually not that different from what I've worked with, he said slowly. More advanced, obviously, but the underlying principles are the same. Distributed processing, hierarchical command structures, automated response protocols. It's like debugging a really complicated piece of software. A really complicated piece of software that controls a planet-wide defense grid and could kill us if we make a mistake, Rodriguez pointed out. All software can kill you if you make the wrong mistake, Finn said. This one's just more obvious about it. Maya walked over to the tactical display and began sketching out her idea. We know the Vex ships use quantum encryption for communication with their home network. But encryption is only as strong as its implementation, and the Vex have made their implementation incredibly complex. Complex how? Vasquez asked. They've got 17 different authentication layers, quantum entanglement verification, biometric locks, and temporal synchronization protocols, Maya said. It's like they built a security system designed by someone who read every cybersecurity textbook ever written and decided to use all the techniques at once. That sounds incredibly secure, Sterling said. It is, Maya agreed, but it's also incredibly fragile. The more complex a security system gets, the more ways it can break. And the Vex system has so many interconnected verification protocols that if you can compromise just one of them, the whole thing comes tumbling down, Finn finished, his voice carrying the kind of awe usually reserved for witnessing natural phenomena. Commander Vasquez looked between Maya and Finn like she was watching a tennis match played by people who had just invented a new sport. You two are talking about infiltrating the most advanced civilization in the galaxy using their own technology against them. Yes, Maya said. That's either brilliant or suicidal. Historically, those two categories have significant overlap, Maya replied. Rex stepped forward, his expression shifting from forced optimism to something that might have been actual hope. What would you need to make this work? Maya and Finn exchanged glances that contained about 3 weeks' worth of technical discussions compressed into a single moment of understanding. A Vex ship, Maya said. A really good hacker, Finn added. And approximately 17 different kinds of luck, Maya concluded. Commander Vasquez was quiet for a long moment, studying the data displays and the two engineers who had just proposed the most ridiculous rescue mission in human history. "I'll talk to command," she said finally. "But if they approve this insanity, you two are personally responsible for whatever happens next." Maya and Finn looked at each other again. "No pressure," Finn said. "None at all," Maya agreed. 2 months later, Maya found herself crammed into the cockpit of a stolen Vex fighter, but watching Finn have what appeared to be an existential crisis with a quantum computer interface. The ship smelled like ozone and regret, and the control systems were labeled in a language that looked like mathematics had gotten into a fight with abstract art. "Remind me why we thought this was a good idea," Finn said, his hands hovering over the interface like he was afraid it might bite him. "Because we're either brilliant engineers or complete idiots," Maya replied, running through the pre-flight checklist for a spacecraft designed by aliens who apparently believed that user-friendly design was a form of weakness. "And we won't find out which one until we're either heroes or very stylish corpses." Rex Sterling's voice crackled through the communication system from the command ship following at a safe distance. "How are we looking, team?" "Oh, just great," Maya said, watching as several warning indicators lit up on the console in colors that definitely meant something important. "The good news is that I think I understand how this thing flies. The bad news is that it flies like a brick that's been taught to hate gravity." "That's oddly poetic," Rex said. "I'm an engineer under stress. We get philosophical when we're about to die." The Vex homeworld appeared on their view screen like a purple jewel that had been polished by creatures with very aggressive aesthetic preferences. It was beautiful in the way that dangerous things often were. All gleaming cities and orbital platforms that looked like they could disintegrate intruders just by disapproving of their fashion choices. "Beginning approach," Maya announced, fighting with the controls as the ship decided to interpret her gentle course correction as a request to perform interpretive dance. "Finn, please tell me you're ready to work some hacking magic." Finn was staring at the quantum interface with the expression of someone who had just been asked to perform brain surgery with a spoon. "I've established a connection to their network periphery, but Maya, this system is insane. It's like someone took every security protocol ever invented and then added 17 more just for fun." "Can you break it?" "I can try, but if I trigger their intrusion detection systems, we're going to be very famous for about 30 seconds before we become space dust." The ship shuddered as they passed through the outer defense grid, which apparently scanned them with the thoroughness of an overly suspicious airport security system. Maya held her breath, waiting for alarms that would indicate their stolen ship had been identified as stolen. Nothing happened. "We're through the outer perimeter," she announced. "Either their security is worse than we thought, or we're about to walk into the most elaborate trap in galactic history." "Given our luck, probably both," Rex's voice crackled through the comm. Maya guided the ship toward the main communications hub, a structure that looked like someone had built a cathedral specifically for the worship of really aggressive geometry. The closer they got, the more Maya appreciated the sheer audacious over-engineering of Vex civilization. They hadn't just built a planet-wide defense grid, they'd built a monument to the concept of excessive technological sophistication. "Finn, how are we doing on the hacking front?" Finn's voice was tight with concentration. "I'm through the first 7 authentication layers, but Maya, this is like trying to perform surgery on a patient who's also a Rubik's Cube that changes its configuration every time you touch it." "That's either a very creative metaphor, or you're having a breakdown." "Probably both." The ship's proximity alarms began chiming with increasing urgency as they approached the communications hub. Maya could see Vex security forces beginning to mobilize, which suggested that their infiltration was going about as well as expected. "We've got company," Maya announced, watching as several very official-looking spacecraft began converging on their position. "Finn, whatever you're going to do, now would be a great time." "I'm in their secondary network," Finn said, his fingers flying over the interface. "But Maya, there's something weird about their system architecture. It's not just a defense grid, it's like they've integrated their entire civilization into a single program." "What do you mean?" "I mean everything is connected to everything. Their defense systems, their transportation networks, their food distribution, their waste management, even their entertainment systems. It's like they've turned their entire planet into one giant, incredibly complex piece of software. Maya stared at him. Please tell me you're thinking what I think you're thinking. If I can access their central command protocols, Finn said, his voice carrying the kind of excitement usually reserved for people who had just discovered they could fly, I won't just be able to disable their defenses. I can reprogram their entire civilization. The ship rocked as the first Vex security forces opened fire, apparently having decided that subtle interrogation was overrated. Maya fought with the controls, trying to keep them in position long enough for Finn to complete whatever digital wizardry he was attempting. Finn, I don't want to rush you, but we're about to become target practice for aliens with really good aim. Almost there, Finn muttered, his entire attention focused on the interface. Just need to crack their central command authentication. And then, Oh's not a good word, Finn. I don't like. Maya, their central command system isn't just controlling their planet, Finn said, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and terror. It's controlling their entire colony network. Every Vex settlement, every outpost, every ship. It's all connected through quantum entanglement to this single control node. Maya stared at him as the implications hit her. You're telling me that if you hack their home planet's network, I can control every Vex installation in the galaxy, Finn finished. Every single one. The ship shuddered again as more weapons fire impacted their shields, which were holding up about as well as tissue paper in a hurricane. Do it, Maya said. Maya, if I mess this up, then we die heroically instead of just dying, Maya said. Do it, Finn. Finn took a deep breath and initiated the final hacking sequence. What happened next would later be described by xenohistorians as the most polite conquest in galactic history. Finn's hack didn't just disable the Vex defense grid, it gave him administrative access to their entire civilization. Within minutes, he was looking at control panels for everything from planetary traffic management to individual household food dispensers. Maya, Finn said, his voice filled with the kind of wonder usually reserved for people witnessing divine intervention, I can control everything. Their ships, their cities, their infrastructure. I can even adjust the temperature in their homes. Maya, who was still fighting to keep their ship intact while Vex security forces tried to turn them into cosmic debris, looked over at her hacking partner. Please tell me you have a plan that doesn't involve us becoming benevolent dictators of an alien empire. Actually, Finn said, his fingers dancing across the interface with newfound confidence, I have something better. Over the next 30 minutes, while Maya performed evasive maneuvers that would have impressed a professional stunt pilot, Finn executed what he later described as the most elaborate customer service reassignment in history. Every Vex citizen on the homeworld received a cheerful notification that they had won an all-expenses-paid relocation to a luxury resort planet. The notification included detailed information about the resort's amenities, fresh air, organic farming opportunities, and a complete absence of advanced technology that could be used to burn down other people's homes. The Vex, being a highly organized species that respected proper administrative procedures, began boarding transport ships in orderly queues. Finn, Maya said, watching the mass evacuation on their view screen. Where exactly are you sending them? Kepler 442 billion, Finn replied. It's a perfectly habitable agricultural world with no indigenous population and no technology more advanced than irrigation systems. You're turning an interstellar military empire into farmers? I'm giving them a career change opportunity, Finn said. They'll be growing root vegetables instead of burning down cities. It's much more sustainable. Maya watched as the Vex fleet began the systematic evacuation of their homeworld, each ship following precise flight plans generated by their own computer systems. This is either the most brilliant or most ridiculous thing I've ever witnessed. Why not both? Finn said, echoing Maya's earlier philosophy. Rex Sterling's voice crackled through the comm system. Rodriguez, Cooper, please tell me you haven't accidentally started an intergalactic incident. Define incident, Maya said. Have you done anything that might result in diplomatic protests from the Galactic Council? Maya and Finn looked at each other. Through the view screen, they could see the last of the Vex evacuation transports disappearing into hyperspace, but heading for their new home where they would spend their days cultivating vegetables and presumably contemplating the career choices that had led them to this point. No diplomatic protests, Maya said finally. The Vex are all still alive, they're all safe. And they're all about to become very productive members of the agricultural sector. What about their military fleet? Finn pulled up another control panel. I've reprogrammed their ships for deep space exploration and scientific research. They're now the Galactic Survey Corps, dedicated to mapping uninhabited star systems and definitely not burning down anyone's homes. There was a long silence on the comm channel. You turned the most feared military force in the galaxy into farmers and scientists? Rex asked. We turned them into productive citizens, Maya corrected. It's called rehabilitation. Commander Vasquez's voice joined the conversation. Rodriguez, Cooper returned to base for debriefing. And someone please explain to me how you ended a galactic war with what appears to be the universe's most elaborate customer service transfer. 3 months later, Maya stood on the observation deck of humanity's newest space station, watching ships from the former Vex territories arrive with their first agricultural exports. The vegetables were surprisingly good, and the former Vex raiders had apparently discovered that they had a natural talent for hydroponic farming. Finn joined her at the viewport, carrying 2 cups of coffee that actually tasted like coffee, instead of regret dissolved in hot water. Any word from the new Vex colonies? Maya asked. They're calling themselves the Cultivation Collective now, Finn said. And according to their latest reports, they're producing the best root vegetables in 3 star systems. Apparently the same attention to detail that made them excellent at warfare makes them excellent at agriculture. Maya sipped her coffee and watched a transport ship dock with their station. Through the viewport she could see Vex workers, now dressed in practical farming attire instead of intimidating battle armor, carefully unloading crates of what appeared to be some kind of purple vegetable that probably had a name she couldn't pronounce. Do you ever wonder if we did the right thing? She asked. Finn considered this. We ended a war without killing anyone, gave an entire species a chance to start over, and now the galaxy has access to really good vegetables. I'm calling that a win. And we got them back for burning down my apartment. That too, Finn agreed. Although I think making them into farmers was probably more creative than whatever revenge you were planning. Maya smiled. I was just going to blow up their stuff and call it even. This is much better. Her communicator chimed with a message from Captain Sterling, who had recently been promoted to Admiral Sterling after successfully managing what the military was calling the Great Pacification and what the media was calling the Vegetable Victory. Rodriguez, Cooper, report to Conference Room 7. We've got a new situation that requires your particular brand of creative problem-solving. Maya and Finn looked at each other. Think it's another alien invasion? Finn asked. With our luck, it's probably aliens who are upset about their grocery bills, Maya replied. They headed toward the conference room. 2 engineers who had accidentally ended a war and discovered that sometimes the best way to defeat your enemies was to give them a completely different job. Behind them, through the observation deck's massive viewport, the stars continued their ancient dance across the cosmos, unaware that somewhere among them, a former galactic menace was learning the subtle art of crop rotation. And in the grand tradition of the universe's sense of humor, it was working out remarkably well. As they walked down the corridor toward whatever new crisis awaited them, Maya couldn't help but notice that the coffee really did taste better these days. Whether that was due to improved supply lines now that they weren't at war, or simply because victory made everything taste better, she wasn't sure. You know, she said to Finn as they reached the conference room door, I'm starting to think we might actually be good at this whole creative problem-solving thing. Don't jinx it, Finn replied, but he was smiling as he said it. The door slid open, revealing Admiral Sterling and Commander Vasquez waiting with what appeared to be a holographic display of yet another star system in distress. But for the first time in her military career, Maya felt genuinely optimistic about whatever impossible situation they were about to face. After all, they'd already proven that sometimes the most elegant solution to a problem was simply giving everyone involved a better hobby. The door closed behind them, and the universe held its breath, waiting to see what Maya Rodriguez and Finn Cooper would accidentally accomplish next.